Hey traders, checking in on the stock market today. So the bears still in short-term control. We closed very weak down at the lows, and I personally was wrong in what I thought would happen the second half of today, but I still made money because I protected my positions. I'll show you how. So the S&P 500 futures, 4-hour lower high, rejecting from EMA 12 resistance and continuing the 4-hour downtrend. Daily perspective, we can see the RSI is approaching oversold conditions. Looking at it on SPY. Daily downtrend confirmed yesterday, followed through today, and 451.14 is our weekly higher low level. That's the next level that we are looking at, and it's now in play. So again, we'll be interested in daily oversold conditions. We can see we have not been there in a very long time. Wow, we haven't seen daily oversold since COVID. I didn't think it's been that long. We came close back here, but approaching daily oversold conditions, monthly time frame, looking like we may be headed for further monthly consolidation, or I should say the start of monthly consolidation. And essentially, if we lose the weekly higher low at 451, I will then zoom out, and the most important level for me then will be 424.86 for the monthly uptrend. So, Nasdaq, same deal. This was our 12-hour declining support line. 12-hour RSI is oversold, and we are about to close below this line. And again, with trend lines, you could just go and we're still hitting this a bunch of times, but I'm more interested in the RSI. This was a bit of a visual guide, but again, I'm looking at this RSI and saying, all right, we're at 26 right now, and I look back to every other time. 26s is where we bounced and hit the lowest RSI point in October. Back here, 26, just under 26 was the lowest level hit in May. Back here, 26s, lowest level hit in February. So we are at historical bounces. Now, that takes an asterisk next to it. Historical bounces since the COVID lows. Because obviously the COVID lows were weaker, and you go back pre-COVID, and we dropped down to 20 or teens a few times. So what we're looking for this week is this time different? Are we about to see the most extreme 12-hour RSI since the COVID lows, or do we find a temporary bottom off of these historical RSI levels, recent historical RSI levels again? So that's a question we're looking for in the short term. And again, yesterday at the end of the video, I said, if we bounce overnight, we're going to be scouting 4-hour lower highs at the open. If we open lower, I'm going to be scouting bounce plays. So the way that I prepared for this morning, I woke up and did the whiteboard and wrote out all my levels and looked at all the charts at 6 a.m. So from 6 to 7 a.m., that's what I'm doing. And at that point in time, I said, okay, I have a bull bias. I'm scouting a bounce on the morning. And then by the time we headed to the open, so here is pre-market where we are trading when I'm establishing that game plan and saying, okay, I'm looking bullish on the morning. And then by the time the bell rings, we are 0.5 to 0.7% higher. And just like that, I say, meh, I don't really like that setup anymore. The bounce that I'm looking for is taking place in pre-market. And it was the futures chart that helped guide me, saying, well, I was looking bullish, but now that we've bounced and followed through in pre-market, I'm really cautious of these 4-hour lower highs on these futures charts, so I can't really be bullish up at these levels. And so that kept me very patient on the morning, and that had me anticipating some morning weakness, watching for our 4-hour lower highs to be set. So from there, I just sat on my hands very patiently. I made one bearish entry opportunity, and I was a little bit too early on QQQ. I was watching a 1-minute channel, and it stopped me out before rolling over. But again, I didn't have a ton of conviction on the morning. I just knew that I didn't want to be looking bullish anymore. So I made the bearish attempt. I did get stopped out, so it did not benefit from this drop, but it did end up being one of my best days of the trading year. There's only been 12 trading days, and I've only been trading for maybe 9 of them, but it was good, in my opinion, on looking back, saying, okay, you know, I got stopped out right up here near the high, and I missed this move, and rather than going on tilt, ending in a downward spiral, feeling sorry for myself, I completely forgot about it. It was a tiny loss, little stop out, and then the trades developed from there. So I traded XBI. I guess we'll just do trade review right now. Really liked how today went with trading. So XBI, we're looking at the low of yesterday, and I'm looking down at 94.21. So again, wasn't doing anything on the morning. XBI was a rising wedge as well in the 2-minute time frame. Dumped bear. So I said, okay, we're dumping bear. I'm scouting a bounce play off of the low of yesterday, 94.21. We double bottom at that level and bounce. That is a significant bounce on the 5-minute time frame. Within 15 minutes, we are up 1.5%, which means on the leveraged ETFs, we just bounced over 4% in 15 minutes. So again, I make an entry, bottom fishing, I exit half on this bounce. And again, I'm looking for a bigger bounce. I'm looking for a double bottom on the daily and more bounce follow through. So I let half the position ride. And by selling half, I'm now risk-free, stop under the low. We then dropped down and gave it all back. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, here we go again. I'm looking for a bigger picture, longer term move, and I'm giving up short-term gains. But I re-added half back on my position because it's then a triple bottom at that point. We then formed a 2-minute equilibrium, and I could see volatility was going to be coming at lunch because, again, looking at the time and looking at the equilibrium, I knew we're about to break heading into noon, and that bull break was beautiful for its follow-through. We just went straight up, and so that was a multiple day maker for me, and just let it play out, and it got to the point where, all right, straight shot up on the 5-minute time frame. I'm not giving this move back. Again, I'm locking in some profit, so I started scaling out my position under the high of the day. So a couple little scale outs anticipating the potential that we reject from the high of the day. We didn't, but we didn't get much further after that. So that was a big win. So okay, just locked in my bull win. At that point in time, I had entered a CCJ swing position. I'm scouting a weekly higher low on CCJ, and I was looking for a bottom fishing play off the low of yesterday, which broke, but I gave wiggle room. And I gave more wiggle room than usual because it's a swing size position, which means I have a lot more comfort as far as the wiggle room that I can give it. So I made an entry in the 2180s or so, and a little bit early on the morning, we dropped down, we broke the low. My stop was 21.29. I missed stop out by 1.5 pennies, and now it's the bulls having to prove an hourly trend change back in their favor tomorrow for this trade to be successful. Have to break 22.41 to confirm the hourly trend change and start the daily bounce. If we get daily bounce follow through, I would likely exit half into a daily bounce and then be risk-free on the trade. So the reason I just went to that is because I've got some bull exposure now. So I've got some bull exposure there. I ended up later in the day getting some bull exposure in crypto. So after exiting my biotech sector bounce, knowing that I'm interested in a biotech sector 15-minute high or low next time we consolidate after we just V-shaped to the high of the day, I start looking short. Because again, I've only got long exposure and the bulls aren't proving enough to me yet that they are taking control. What I was looking for, and the reason I was looking bull, is because I anticipated that the futures charts would hold the low of overnight initially. I'm looking for a higher low compared to the lows of overnight. And we ended up going top of the bounce, which is our 4-hour rejection from EMA 12, hold the low of overnight, hourly bounce, that's where my day was made with XBI, and then we rolled over. So I'm looking at this hourly time frame on the futures and saying, that's a wide range. I'm looking for, again, all midday, I'm looking for a bull break on the Nasdaq, a confirmed hourly trend change, and 12-hour oversold bounce follow through. And I am positioning myself for that. And that hourly bounce allowed me to do so profitably. But I then start thinking, what if I'm wrong? So I can't only be on one side of the boat. And then if I'm wrong, I give back all of my day's gains. So I look and I say, well, it's entirely possible we set an hourly lower high. So I'm going to try a bearish position to protect my long exposure. Grabbing some SQQQ top fish on QQQ with some wiggle room, looking for 15-minute consolidation to offset some remaining long positions that I have. So it was less about being confident that QQQ is about to pull back, and more so saying, okay, well, if I'm wrong, if my bias is wrong, I want to protect against that. And that's something I'm doing a lot more with my day trading over the past couple years, which is having an open position with a longer term mindset. You know, if I'm looking for trying to let a daily oversold bounce play out on a ticker, but knowing that hourly consolidation is probably going to happen, then I enter a bearish position to benefit from that hourly consolidation so my account doesn't drop when it happens. So I'm looking at QQQ. What time was that? 104. So what's going on with QQQ at 104? The hourly bounce taking place. And I'm looking for a 15-minute lower high compared to the high of the day. And so I'm watching it here, and I'm watching these trend lines. I drew a couple trend lines just as a little visual guide. And we just traded sideways for a while. And at 104, it's right here. I'm saying, all right, well, we hit a new high with no follow through. We dropped down and broke support with no follow through, but bull's looking a little bit tired for me. So I entered SQQQ right here on this candle, and then we chop around, go sideways. My stop is above the high of the day, and we then roll over. And then I just kept that position. I exited a third of that position on this solid leg down. I exited another third into right before I went live streaming, and I'm swinging a third just because I'm so comfortable in that position. And again, just protecting the only exposure I have right now on the long side. Now I've got a small SQQQ swing. But that move right there saved me significantly. And my position, CCJ, didn't drop too much with the broader market, and the crypto positions didn't drop very significantly. But I was able to keep profiting. The money that I made on this SQQQ position just kept stacking up. You know, it went from a 2-day maker up towards a 4-day maker at that point because my bullish positions weren't dropping too much and my bearish position was doing very well. So those are the majority of the trades that I took today. I did take another couple trades that I stopped out on. For example, XBI, I looked to re-enter my bullish position for a 15-minute higher low off of EMA 12. What I've been loving about the biotech sector is that when I'm wrong, I'm just getting break-even stop-outs because I'm right enough in the short term to allow that maneuvering. And again, if you look at the XBI on the drop here, the 2-minute got real extended down, started scaling in, had a good entry on this bounce. I exit half my position. If that's the 15-minute high or low, I nail it, and I have half a position for a new high of the day. If that is not our 15-minute high or low, I stop out break even, which is what I did. And then I had another little bounce attempt and stopped out with a small win. Because again, look at these bounces on the way down. It doesn't look like much, but this move right here is almost 1%. The leveraged ETF there went 2% on that bounce. So that's plenty of space for me to be maneuvering. And when I'm wrong, I'm not losing money is essentially what it boils down to. I love the market environment right now where, again, the biotech sector, the bears have control of the daily. But if you look back at the last 29 days, 15 times we close higher than we open. 14 times we close lower than we open. Friday, 5% green move from the low of the day. Yesterday, 5% red move from the high of the day. Today, tons of volatility in both directions. There's a big bear opportunity, big bull opportunity, big bear opportunity. That bear opportunity was marked by a 5-minute stair-step pattern, breaking bear. It's close to shorting that, but chose QQQ instead. But my point is, you know I love oversold bounces. I can't wait until growth names, which we'll look at in just a moment. You know, if I'm making money in this market environment, it means I'm going to be positioned real well to be making even more money when we've got oversold bounces in the biotech sector, in IWM, in growth. So I'm not looking, these aren't the days where, you know, I'm making my month. Well, today was, but by, you know, accident almost. The days where I'm making my month are the notable bounces when we get follow through, and that will happen eventually. You know, back here, I was making my month on this biotech sector bounce. So I'm just looking to tread water and patiently wait for bounces that get follow through. And that's just my style, but also making some money on the downside as well. So very comfortable with the current market environment. I'm not feeling fear out there. We're definitely seeing weakness, but it doesn't feel like panic or fear. So into tomorrow, what we're looking at for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq futures, just our 4-hour downtrend guides. And if we gap down open, I'll be watching how extended are our RSI levels. But I know that as long as the Nasdaq 12-hour RSI is down in the 20s or lower, I'm scouting bounces. And again, I'll just position myself where if I'm wrong, I'm not going to be wrong by a lot. And I will eventually be right. And it'll then be worth it. So that's my mindset. If we bear flag and cool off this 12-hour RSI, that changes things. But as long as it's this low at historical bounce levels, I'm looking for bounce plays. Doesn't mean I'm just automatically looking for bounce plays because, again, like this morning, I knew to be patient and wait for a better opportunity because the bounce had already taken place with how we were aligning with the market open. But 4-hour downtrend is our guide and watching to see how much follow through the bears are able to get. NVDA at our downtrending support line. Daily support breaking. So bear break of 256.44. Daily RSI is a back burner, not yet, but it's going to be if we get oversold. All-time high. First hourly oversold conditions. It's currently at 34. But what I would like to see is daily, 4-hour, and hourly RSI levels all oversold together. Then I'm interested in a bounce because we are scouting a monthly high or low. We're way above monthly EMA 12. We can drop another 10% before we get there. So I'm scouting a daily oversold bounce if we get there on NVDA. That might be a position I try and put in my IRA for a swing. And again, with my style, it would be waiting for daily oversold conditions. If we align with all those oversold timeframes, I make an entry, maybe just an hourly bounce, maybe just a 4-hour oversold bounce. I exit half, I stick my stop under the low, and I try and nail the monthly high or low. And way back when, my best stock swing trade of 2021 was doing that with ARK. And it was doing that here. And I entered, I believe that day of May 13th, I exited partial real quick to be break even, risk free, and then sold somewhere on the way up. So I'll be looking to do something similar. Again, it's my same style of bounces that I do on the 2 and 5 minute time frame. I do on the daily and weekly time frame. It just takes longer to play out. So semiconductors, SMH, 4-hour support line, potentially breaking. And daily, again, look at the lack of support here. SMH has nothing nearby. We're looking down at a gap fill of 281.26 from here. But again, daily oversold. If we get there, definitely we'll be paying attention. I mean, look at the daily RSI at 30 in the last 3 years. That is your buy opportunity. We'll see if we get there. And again, monthly time frame, tons of space for a higher low still. More space than NVDA. NIO, so still scouting a daily higher low, anything above 27.78. Bulls are losing some hope, but still possible. I haven't really been trading NIO. NIO was my top trader in 2021, but I already know that XBI, LABU, and LABD are definitely going to be among my top traders in 2022. But still keeping an eye on NIO to see if the bulls can defend that triple bottom in the 27s, which we are approaching. 4-hour not oversold, hourly would be oversold. Just keeping an eye on it. Tesla bears had control today. Tesla showed us a bearish correlation right away. Bullish correlation yesterday, bearish correlation right away. How can I say that? Look when the new low of the day was hit on Tesla. New low of the day at 9:40, 10 minutes into the day. What was QQQ doing at 9:40? Nothing but up. Here's 9:40. We hold the low of the day, new high of the day, 2-minute uptrend, then lasts another 24 minutes. While we're going in an uptrend on QQQ, we're going in a downtrend on Tesla. It was just a crystal clear bearish correlation. And we could say, well, if the Nasdaq futures chart gives us a 4-hour lower high at any point this morning, Tesla is not positioned well for that consolidation because the bears are already in control while QQQ is going up. So Tesla broke support, and now we got 980. If 980 breaks, we confirm a daily downtrend. We zoom out to the weekly, and then it's all about 886 from there. So still a tightening weekly range as long as 886 can hold. And again, if you just condense it down to the 2-week time frame, all-time high, higher low, lower high. If we hold 886, it's just an equilibrium and tightening range, but that is the most important level for me. Healthcare staying weak. Further downside, tried to bounce, no follow through. Still scouting for a weekly higher low, anything above 128.35. But again, bears are going to be watching for that weekly lower high entry for swing positions, hoping that this ends up being a head and shoulders. But have to find a weekly higher low first before we're considering that. So that's just looking one step ahead. First things first, can we hold 128.35? The sectors that were up today, the metals and the miners did well. We'll look at that in just a second. We had utilities. I think they were up. So the defensive sectors were green. Energy sector has been on fire still. It was red, but still holding on real well. So again, that's another reason why it doesn't feel like, fear sky is falling for me. Number one, we're seeing bounces on the way down that are cooling off RSI levels. So aside from the Nasdaq 12-hour, we're not really at RSI levels that have us at extremes. And again, there's other sectors that are holding on well. We're not seeing everything dumping. Definitely saw at the end of the day today, all of our three major sectors at the low at the same time. That stood out to us. IWM. Actually, we need XLF still, don't we? XLF has not found the daily high or low. Bears have been in absolute complete control since the earnings started. Again, technically still anything above 39.32, nope, 38.97 is a daily high or low. But there is a ton of space for the daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce. Each bounce that we are seeing on the hourly is just cooling off RSI levels before another leg down. Technically, this is first 4-hour oversold conditions from all-time highs, but again, this is coming in response to earnings, so RSI levels are less meaningful to me because it's fundamental reaction. It's essentially a news reaction leading to this drop. But this was one of our major sectors where 3 days ago, broader market still is just fine because XLF is holding things up. Well, now that earnings are underway, that's no longer the case. And the sectors that are going up aren't significant enough as far as the holdings in the S&P 500 to mean much. IWM lead bear. IWM is breaking levels. We're at 52-week lows right now, aren't we? The last time we were in the 204s was February 21. So not exactly. 11-week lows, 11-month lows. Daily RSI, only just getting to oversold. We just saw a daily RSI down at 23. So again, nothing's extreme here. We can definitely see another solid leg down. Next time we bounce, there's a lot of space for daily lower highs. Where there is fear and where the sky is falling is growth. These growth names were weak for 6 months, and now the broader market is seeing weakness, and they're just getting destroyed. They're not going to bounce if IWM's not going to bounce. So we have to see IWM. Hourly downtrend, lower high at 208.40. And again, just an hourly downtrend. End of the day bounce, cool things off, fresh lows, just weak little bounces, not doing anything. If we can't change the hourly trend, we're not going to bounce. So the names that I'm watching for growth, we know ARC is getting crushed. Daily RSI, weekly RSI oversold. We will see bounces in growth, just not until IWM starts to show us signs of a bounce. So again, this is where, as my style, I love oversold bounces. I'm not beating my head against the wall trying to play growth bounces every day. I can't remember the last time, XBI correlates to IWM, but I can't remember the last time I tried to play a growth name for a bounce, but I will. When IWM shows me the signs, I look forward to looking to profit off some of these oversold bounces in growth names. Just not yet. And again, RSI is a guide, but you look at ARC's RSI, yeah, it's oversold, but again, just a month ago, we dropped down to 21, and here we are at 26. So we can definitely go lower. I want capitulation. Give me a max flush. Give me absolute fear. Give me liquidations. Give me the sky is falling. Give me gap downs. Then I'm looking for those bounces. But it's so many of these names. PLTR. Remember when that was a darling up at the all-time highs? That's now down 65% from the all-time high. PTON. There's so many of these names that are just smashed. And they're just grinding down. Look at that round trip in the last 2 years. Monster moonshot of 900%. And then you get back. That's crypto all over again. This is exactly what crypto did. Crypto went up 1,000% and pulled back 85, 90%. Found a bottom and then had big gains. I made good gains on crypto after those bottoms were found after an 85% drop. So there will be opportunity in these names again. It's just not yet. Just got to be patient. We will see monthly bounces in growth. We will see the biotech sector with a weekly oversold bounce. Just not quite yet. Biotech sector. So again, the opportunity is beautiful in both directions. Bears definitely winning on the daily chart. But you look at the weekly RSI getting oversold. Earnings are coming into play. We're keeping that as a factor. But again, look at the weekly RSI and the history of this ETF. And we know there's a direction we should be looking in. Yes, it can go lower, but historically, this is the time to be looking in the other direction. So that's why I'm excited knowing that I am going to see some good profit when the biotech sector finally gets a weekly bounce going. But again, I want as much weakness before that happens. Flush it out. I don't swing positions in the biotech sector. Give me gap downs, give me weakness as extreme as possible. But for now, we're just watching the lower highs every day, 5 days in a row. We've got our hourly downtrend as a guide. Next time we bounce, anything under 96.98 is just an hourly lower high. And I just take it one day at a time. Dollar, daily inside bar, still a 4-hour uptrend, but a big enough pullback to be scouting a potential 4-hour lower high to be a result of this bounce. If we confirm a 4-hour downtrend, daily consolidation will be underway. Bulls have to confirm the daily trend change back in their favor for the monthly bull flag to try and take shape. Metals with a big day today. So gold breaking out, following through. This was a great laggard play. Silver led the way, and then miners and gold followed. And this morning, I was looking at XPI and I was looking at miners, and I was going to trade one or the other. And I don't really have any regrets because the LABU trades went really well. Definitely would have been some nice big winners in the miners as well, but can't trade them all. So gold, I'm watching this 4-hour uptrending resistance. We're due for 4-hour consolidation here. And again, it's just the kind of thing where if I were in a bullish position, I would want to be looking, okay, what do I need to be cautious of? And I'd just be keeping an eye on this uptrend resistance line. But bigger picture now, we're in a weekly and daily and 4-hour uptrend. So now it's all about the monthly. Can the bulls break 1877 or do we remain within a tightening range? And again, the gold is not where the volatility is. Wow, huge day for gold, when in reality, and there's just not liquid enough leveraged ETFs. So gold goes 1.7%. The biotech sector ETFs with plenty of liquidity go 300% that size in both directions today. So again, that's what has me feeling absolutely no FOMO about these metals at all. If I were in a metals swing position, what I made trading the biotech sector would be, a week's worth of gains in a metal swing position. And that's just me personally. I'm not saying don't have a swing position bullish the metals. I'm just saying I'm using my capital more actively, and I don't have a reason for it to be passively sitting in the metals right now. If it were going to be, it would be in silver. Silver, daily, weekly uptrend. And again, it's all about 25.41. It is possible we remain within a tightening range for another couple months and remain boring, but we'll know the answer fairly soon. Essentially, for me, if it's a monthly bull flag on the dollar, then we're probably going to set a monthly lower high here and remain tight for a while. If it's not a monthly high or low on the dollar, again, remember it's 6 months. This is the longest term chart I've ever watched, and I've been watching it for years at this point. And this is our 6-month dollar chart. If the metals are going to break out in a big way, we need a 6-month lower high and a bear break of this pattern. Then the metals will explode to new all-time highs. At least gold will. I forget where silver's all-time high is. That's the big holy grail of the move that the metals bulls want to see. So we zoom in. Is there an indication our 6-month lower high is being set? No, not at all. It could develop from here, but there's a lot more proving that the bears would have to do. Starting with a confirmed weekly downtrend. So if you want a home run in the metals, you need that dollar 6-month lower high and bear break eventually. Minor bulls, beautiful laggard move. Again, silver led the way. Broader market held back the miners. They were unusually weaker yesterday, and they just absolutely exploded to the upside today. They have a leveraged ETF that is worthwhile. So NUGT and JNUG exploded today, and they went up double digits. So there's your significant volatility opportunity. Daily trend change, weekly trend change, both confirmed. Monthly perspective, it's all about, well, we don't want to use the leveraged ETFs, use the non-leveraged ETFs, but it's all about monthly 34.48 resistance on GDX to try and break the monthly lower high. So metals bulls in complete short-term control, but there's still proving to be done on monthly time frames. What else we got? CCJ did it. I think that's about it. Hope you had a good day out there. And we will see what tomorrow brings. Gap downs, I'm scouting bounces. Higher opens, it depends on where resistance stands. But again, as long as the Nasdaq 12-hour RSI is at historical bounce levels, as long as the biotech sector weekly is at historical bounce levels, I will have a bullish lean on things, but that does not mean that I'm only playing bullish. I am protecting that bias by establishing positions where if I'm right, I'll stop out with a small loss on my protective position. And if I'm wrong, it will protect me. And on a day like today, it will greatly benefit me. Didn't really need its help, but it helped. So that is my mindset as long as those RSI levels on those two sectors are where they stand. Do good things. Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow. So for this week, we're going to wrap it up with some more pictures and adventure time, but then we're going to get back to some real life stuff. I'm going to be moving into a short-term place while I continue scouting to buy a mini farm, but going to be growing a whole bunch of stuff, so I'll record some stuff about growing stuff and the nice springtime stuff. So here we got Florida. If you're going to camp in Florida, do it in the winter or the early spring or the late fall. This trip was in the winter and it was great. They got boardwalks going through the swamp area. It's a different world. It's like Jurassic Park. But if you do it in the summer, it was the worst experience I've ever had camping. I had to cut the trip early and go home with my tail between my legs because literally you get to where you're going, you hike around a bit, you're dripping sweat, the mosquitoes are unbearable the entire time. Anywhere in the shade is all mosquitoes. I would literally have to crawl into my tent at about 3 p.m., naked, dripping sweat, and you could hear the audible buzz of the mosquitoes around the mesh, and I could put my hand to the mesh and literally see a swarm come to where my hand was. So literally you're imprisoned and there's no way to stay cool. It was just miserable. So, swampy trees, nice big ferns, and you really get to appreciate how well life is at growing, especially when it's in very wet, very hot conditions with the hanging moss everywhere. And all of these trees' branches have just little micro environments all throughout them of tons of stuff growing on them. Those clouds definitely soaked me and let me know that my tent was no longer waterproof. Had that little note on my Facebook post for this picture. But about what was I going to say? I don't know. Something. Great place to camp. Big trees, lots of green. Just do it in the winter. That's a really cool picture. And all that is just moss and grass and plants growing. The leaves just decay and create little soil on top of the branches, and life goes wild. I was going to say, when you're a farmer, you really get to appreciate how good life is at growing as well. With weeds and what these plants can do, you can uproot a weed and toss it to the side, and its roots are going to go right back into the ground, and it's going to stay alive. And it's just, life is pretty incredible with how well it can adapt and survive. So I know that when humans are long gone, life will continue to thrive on Earth. Life's not going anywhere. Humans probably will, but that's a ways away. So I appreciate you watching, and I think I go to Costa Rica next. I forget the last time I went over Costa Rica. I think it was fairly recent. We'll see. I'll dig something else up to talk about, and I hope you have a good day.